Okay. Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector, and I'm here with you on a cool Thursday. Actually, it's a pretty cold Thursday. I just don't get it. I mean, this is supposed to be the first day of spring. We should be launching off into some crisp, warm weather, but for whatever reason, we find ourselves in 20 degrees. But it's all good. It's all good. The sun is still shining, so it at least looks nice. But I didn't make this video today for us to sit here and talk about the weather. I wanted to talk about the collecting journey for 2024, and specifically, how can you recognize when enough is enough, when you're too deep, you're too far in, and your games are owning you as opposed to you owning your games. And that was something that I saw someone comment on one of my most recent videos. They said either you own your items or they own you. And I just wanted to talk about some signs, right? Some signs that would let a person know, or let you know, okay, you're hitting a point where you're out of control. And before I kind of talk about some of these, I gotta admit, it is difficult sometimes, because I do, even me, like there are games that I want to get. I have a pretty extensive wish list, especially when it comes to certain Dreamcast games or certain Sega Genesis games. Even for the PlayStation 2, I have certain games that I am just, really wanting to get my hands on. And, there are times where the patience, right? The patience isn't there. You kind of want to strike while the iron is hot, especially if you see, well, for me, whenever I see a game that's in good condition, and I know it's a game that's hard to find or it's rare, if I'm able to spot it, whether I spot it at a store or I spot it online, I just, sometimes I get that urge. But I've been doing a really good job so far in 2024 of kind of sticking to my budget, my monthly budget, and kind of putting myself in a position where I'm only buying the game if I either already still have enough in my budget to purchase the game, or B, if I'm in a position where maybe I sold some items out of my collection and I'm able to kind of use some of the funds that I made from selling items to make those purchases. But I wanted to talk about some signs that perhaps you are out of control, right? And perhaps the gaming collection has gotten to a point where it's more detrimental to you than anything else. And I think the first step and the first biggest sign would be debt, right? If you are in a position where you have a lot of debt, and a lot of that debt can be attributed to just you doing a frivolous amount of spending on video games, that is the first sign. You should never put yourself in any kind of debt, even if it's $100 of debt, even if it's $10 of debt. You should not ever put yourself in any kind of debt to be able to acquire video games. If you don't have the cash to buy the game at the point in time that you want it, then don't buy it. And I think that's almost like a basic rule of life. Like, I think you shouldn't be putting anything on credit, if you ask me. And I understand that there are some things that we do have to put on credit, or there are certain things that we do have to get loans for, right? Like if you're buying $1 million house, no one expects you to shell out $1 million cash and buy a house. So we're talking within reason here. But when it comes to video games, that is not something that you should be financing. You want to save financing for things like a home, if you absolutely have to, maybe a car. Perhaps if you're going to a school, like an Ivy League school where the tuition is really high and you need to finance that via student loans. Okay, I get that. But at no point in life should you be financing video games, for the main reason that video games are not an appreciating asset. They don't add value necessarily to your life outside of the enjoyment that they bring. And for the most part, a lot of these games are just losing value, right? It's not like investing in the stock market or buying another type of asset. These games will lose value more often than not. So trying to, spend a lot of money on games is just not a good move. The second thing that I think would let you know that your gaming hobby has just gotten out of control is if you begin to abandon your social life. If you abandon your social life, whether that be with your friends or even with your family, you begin to ignore your family, and you just develop this obsessive compulsive need to constantly just be either playing video games. And this is not just in regards to buying video games. I'm talking about playing video games too. Like, there has to be a limit on how much you play and just engage in the hobby of video games, right? Because some people think, oh, the only downside is if you buy too many games, but it's okay for you to sit in your basement and play them all day. That's not good either. If you're a husband and you have a wife, go help your wife. Go help her make dinner. Go help her with the kids. If you have friends that are doing things, go hang out with your friends, and then wait for the day where it's raining outside, or maybe there's nothing to do, and then maybe you can spend that day vegging out on video games. But if video games are causing you to sacrifice your social, your relationships with your friends, your relationships with your family, to me that's a sign that the hobby is getting out of whack, out of hand, and you may want to take a step back and just kind of do a little bit of a reevaluation with regards to what you're spending your time doing. So that's another sign, in my opinion. Last but not least, and this one might be kind of like a nitpick sign, but I could be absolutely wrong. If you have no other hobbies outside of video games, to me that's a bad sign. You need to be balancing your gaming with something else, something productive, right? Something that's, building you, whether it be working out, going to the gym, whether it be, gardening, whether you have some other type of hobby, something outdoors, maybe hiking, maybe skiing, maybe you play basketball. Video games should not be your only hobby. You should be balancing yourself out with some other things to do, just because you can get kind of lost and sucked into this world where everything is about video games, and now you're not productive in any way to anyone, to society, to anything. And I'll leave off with this right now. I've been kind of seeing some articles and checking out some videos, and they say that the young men of today are kind of like having somewhat of a failure to launch, because all they do is sit in their basements all day, smoke, and play video games. And I hate that video games kind of has this stigma attached to it, that if you're a guy and you sit in your basement and you play video games all day, it means like you're not progressing in life. We kind of want to kill that narrative, right? We definitely want to kill that narrative, especially if you're older and you play video games. That's definitely a narrative that you don't want to be prevalent, because obviously not all folks who sit at home and play video games are waste products and don't have anything to offer society. And so I think we need to be responsible for ourselves. We need to obviously make sure we're staying healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, and that we're not just getting sucked into this trap of games and putting ourselves in a position where we have nothing else to offer but conversation about video games. Let's get active. Let's get out there. Try not to let the video games take over your life. And I think you'll be a better person for it. That's all I have today. I'm going to get off my soapbox for now. Just wanted to share that. And that thought, like I said, it stemmed from a comment that I got on one of my recent videos, a great comment. And I appreciate your comments. I am going to be coming out with a video possibly this weekend reacting to some comments. I have not reacted to comments in a long time. On top of that, I can't believe we're almost at 2,300 subscribers. Wow. I know I had set out a goal of hitting maybe like 2,200 or something like that by March or April. And we are very close to 2,300 subscribers. I mean, it looks like we may be able to hit 3,000 subs by the end of June, maybe, probably even more. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been subscribing, who's been, watching the content. I've been going hard these past couple weeks. I've been doing like 2 videos a day, 3 videos a day. And a lot of it is just because, I am passionate about the hobby. I clearly collect and play video games. But as I've said before, I definitely want to expand. I want to talk about more things. My life is so much deeper and my thoughts are so much deeper than video games. And if it means that I have to create a separate channel for it, let me know down in the comments. Do you think I should add different topics to this channel, or do you think I should create a completely separate channel for some of the other things that I may want to talk about, whether it be clothes, fashion, relationships, things like that? I've got a lot of thoughts on all of these things, and I was just really interested to know what y'all think. If you think I should keep this channel rather strictly about the games, I'll do that. But if you think we can kind of touch on some of those topics here, I'm interested to know that as well. I'm the Y2K Collector. Hopefully you're having a great week. I will talk to you soon. Take it easy.